Good evening, everybody. My name is Joe. As you can see, there is no Kyle Walker here this evening. But welcome to Hitting the Wall, Season 1, Episode 10. Really, folks, this is actually Episode 99 in total. So next week is a big one. I know I don't have anybody joining me just yet, so I'm going to keep rambling for a moment until someone chooses to join me. I really hope that what is happening here is that I just forgot to share this. I'm going to click up here and see. Oh, we have one person joining me. So I don't know who's watching, but if you could do me a favor and share the show, I would appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is going to be a fun night. Tonight, we're talking about having an impact in this world. Now, honestly, right now, I could sit down here. I'm in the friendly confines of the man cave, and I could sit here and have a whole show where, I throw Kyle under the bus about all the pumpkin spice stuff I see floating around here. But I'm not going to do that. I could give him a hard time about missing out on an episode with all of you, but I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is do something that hasn't been done here in a while. I'm going to do a giveaway. This right here, this phenomenal Hitting the Wall sticker is for whoever is the first person to correctly tell me who the guest host is. Now, listen, I understand I'm the host, but who is this guy? Who is Mikey Whipwreck? Kyle, this can't be you. So, friends, like I said, hit me up. This phenomenal sticker will go to whoever happens to be first. Before we get moving into anything, guys, I want to take a moment here and talk about some of what I saw over the last couple of weeks here with Kyle, on Kyle's show. Kyle hit an incredibly important subject. Kyle hit the subject of burnout. Burnout is an incredibly difficult thing for people to deal with. Many people view it as a sign of weakness, and it's not that. Many people can view it as a sign of maybe I'm doing the wrong thing with my job, or maybe I'm doing the wrong thing in a relationship, and I don't even think it's that. But what it is a sign of not taking care of yourself, and honestly, maybe not chasing the passions that you have in this world. Because we can all have a job and we can all be in relationships, but there is this element that we are created to make an impact. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Joe. I am a pastor at a church up in Leavenworth. And so when I come on the Kyle show, my role here is to talk to y'all about Jesus. And I believe that in this world that we are created to do two things. We're created once we're with Jesus, we're created to grow in godly character. That means grow to become more like him, but also to grow in our capacity and our calling to make an impact in this world. And I want to talk with you guys a little bit about this. And I get a little passionate about this. So if I get loud or if anything, just go with me for a moment, because I believe that far too many people have passions in this world that they sit and they wait for someone else to do something about. Or the big question that I've heard from a lot of people as in my role as a pastor, as people are nearing the end of their life, and one of the biggest regrets that they have is, hey, I didn't really do anything to make this world a better place. And I believe that we are all designed and we are in specific ways to make this world a better place. And so what I hope to do this evening is share with you a little bit about my story, share with you a little bit about why I get passionate about the things that I get passionate about, and maybe help you be able to discover what it is that what stokes your flames, what gets you moving, and be able to give you some encouragement to move forward in that realm. I recently turned 40, and 40 is one of those numbers that gets you to stop and think a little bit about what's happened in your life up to this point. And there are some phenomenal things in my life, things that I'm incredibly proud of. I've been married to a wonderful woman for 19 years. She is an amazing mother, an amazing wife, and someone that I can't speak highly enough of. Hi, Rebecca. Welcome to our show this evening. Please take a moment and share the show so other people can see. And I'm the father of 3 incredible daughters. Lily just recently turned 2. She's a ball of energy. Gabby is 8. Today I walked around the room and she decided it was time to kung fu fight daddy, and it was awesome. But the thing about Gabby is she is one of the most caring individuals I've ever met. That if she really thought she was hurting somebody, it would rip her up. And then I have Hope, and Hope is my oldest daughter, and she recently turned 18, and so she is not my little girl anymore. She's a young woman who I have living in my home, and I'm so excited about her because she's such a determined young woman. And and one of the things that I've watched in Hope is Hope's determination in different areas of her life have led her to become very passionate about different things and passionate about different people groups. And I look back at my own life and I see some of the same things, but we all have a story. And I believe that there are 3 things in our story that lead us to the areas that we're created to have impact for. And the first one of those is the first thing is experiences. The second thing is relationships. And the third thing is honestly just how we're wired. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about my story. And then I'll talk to you about my passion. When I was born, I was born in 1979, and I was born with a disease called Hirschsprung's disease. And what Hirschsprung's disease is a disease that kills your digestive system. And there's really no pretty way to put this. So it basically kills you from the backside up. And so I had surgeries before I was 2. I had major things. My mom and dad said there was at least one night where the doctor said, hey, it'd probably be a good idea to gather the family together because Joe's not going to make it. And the year I was born, there were 755 boys only who were born with this in the United States. And I'm one of 17 that are still walking around and that are still alive, and one of only 12 that aren't connected to a machine. And there's and through some of these things, hi Alyssa, thanks for joining us. Through some of these things that happened when I was young, some of these illnesses that I had when I was little, it led to some very difficult times as I was growing up. Because like I said, this disease that I had killed my digestive system from the backside up. And so not only have I lost a fair bit of my intestinal tract, but I also lost some other things in my system. And one of those things is the muscle that helps make sure that you can control your bodily functions. And so through elementary school and even into middle school, I didn't have any control over certain bodily functions that most people do. And it led to some very embarrassing things. And this didn't come until I became a little bit older that I gained the control over these things that I needed. Hi, Belinda. It's nice of you to join me. I love you, honey. And so during my upbringing, one of the things that I experienced, it was no fault of anyone's. It was just what it was that while I did have friends, even my friends kept a distance because there was always this element of, we don't know when Joe's going to lose control of his functions. We don't know when Joe's going to lose control of his ability to tell if he needs to use the restroom, and many of those other things. And so there was some embarrassment that came with that, and some embarrassment that came with my inability to do the things that other people did. My parents did everything they could to be able to help me through these things. I've learned as I got older from a doctor that I'm lucky that I ever got control of these things, and that this was something that, even though I gained some muscle control in that area when I was young, I'm going to lose that as I get older. And so some of the issues I had when I was young are potentially going to become problems again as I age. And But what happened was, a lot of times in a lot of situations, and again, no fault of anyone's, what I felt was alone, forgotten, and left out. And those are things that, in growing up, it's not a good thing, and it's not something that anyone wants to feel. And it's not something that I could put into words when I was young, and I haven't been able till I was an adult. But these are some of the things that have helped shape some of the passions I have in my life. I said, so there's experiences, and some of those experiences is relationships. And also within that, I talked about relationships. I had a dear friend, his name was Barney, and Barney was someone that I cared about deeply when I was young, and he was a dear friend of mine who has since passed away as an adult from his diabetes. And but Barney was the one person when I was young that, in and amongst the circle of kids that we were around, who, if anyone gave me a hard time, he would stand for me. He would stand up for me, and he would pick a fight on my behalf. He was my friend. He was my advocate. And at times when I couldn't feel like I could defend myself, he was my defender. And this was an amazing thing to have. And as I grew older, I realized I want to be that for other people. And it started to create the way that I was wired. And the way that I was wired was just and I'm not trying to sound anything short of humble here, because there's a lot of things I'm horrible at. But I can't help but run to the people that feel lost and feel forgotten and feel like they don't have a place, because I want nothing more than for them to have a place with me. And where I found my place as I got a little bit older and as I became an adult, I found my place in the confines of a men's group through a church. And these men, they accepted me and they loved me, and even with all my mistakes, and there were plenty of mistakes that I did mistakes that I made in an attempt to cover up some of that old stuff that I didn't necessarily want to talk about. But what's come of this is a passion. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about this. There is a community that is about 30 minutes to the west of us. And we're here in Kansas City, so about 30 minutes to the west of us. I believe that there's a basketball team there playing Duke this evening. And the last I saw, it was a pretty close basketball game. So Rock Chalk Jayhawk, go KU. And if that bothers any of you, I'm pretty well good with that. But the deal of it is that in that community, I've learned and grown. I've met people and learned their story and began to talk with them. And what I hear is folks heading to colleges. They head to college in Lawrence, and they go with one set of ideals. And many of these folks are from small town Kansas, which I'm familiar with. That was from small town Kansas. And that as they go there, they discover different things. Sometimes it's mistakes that they make. Sometimes they get into drugs. Sometimes they get into other things that cause their life to go awry. Some of them find themselves in what would be considered in a small town an alternative lifestyle, and then they find that they don't feel that they can go home. So not only have I been meeting a lot of people in that community who feel like they have been left out. They feel like they've been left out by the people that matter the most, that they should matter the most to. They feel they can't go home. They feel they can't go back to their towns. And honestly, the church, and this is part of where I have to take some ownership in this, because in many ways I get to be a representation of a local church. The local church, in a lot of situations, not in every situation, but in a lot of situations, has failed to step in and care for and say, you have a place where you belong regardless of your life circumstances. And so where do I find my passion? I find my passion with the lost and the lonely in a community that is about 30 minutes to the west of us here. And I find myself drawn to those people. And my first job out of high school was not there, but it was with adults and children with developmental disabilities. And my first real job. I had other jobs, but that was my first real job. And so my first real job was with adults and children with developmental disabilities, people who felt lost and lonely and left out. And so I commit my life to surrounding myself with people who feel lost, lonely, and left out, so that they can find out that not only do I care, but that one day I can introduce them to a Jesus who cares immensely more than I ever could. And I'm sorry, I'm getting a little worked up about this because it matters to me so much. And so this is what I'm going to do with the rest of my days. And I'm encouraged. This is what I want to talk with you about today, is how you can find what it is that you are passionate about, what it is that stirs those flames inside of you. Because my goodness, people, we are called and we are brought on this planet to make it a better place. Now, in the church world, that's called social. There's this word that in the secular world, not the church world, but I wouldn't even say the secular world, but just in common culture, it's called social justice, where many people find these socially just things that they can't get around, that they say, I'm gonna fight this stuff. And in the church world, that's often looked down upon, and that's foolish. But because really, if you are a follower of Jesus, I want you to hear me very, very clearly. If you are going to share about the love of God, people will not want to hear about the love of God until they experience the character of God through the people of God. And if you are unwilling to do that, and all you're willing to do is lead with words, you are going to fail. You are going to fail them. Not just yourself, but them. So my question this evening is, what drives you? Whether you're a Christ follower or not, what in this world drives you? What do you get up in the morning and think about? I've got to be honest, the people who live 30 minutes west from us here are oftentimes, other than my wife and my children, are the last thing that enters my head before I go to bed. And they're one of the first things that enter my mind when I get up in the morning, and it drives me. And I don't know when, and I don't know how, and I don't know what it looks like, but there's gonna come a day when I live there. When I live amongst people that I love, that I already have relationship with, but they're people that I love. For the longest time, I've been a disciple of a guy named Neil Cole. And Neil Cole talks about making love to a community. And I know that sounds odd, but what he says is, you know, the innermost being of a town. You know what makes her tick. You know what makes her cry. You know what makes her rejoice. You know what makes every bit of it great. And I'm looking forward to the day when I get to go and I get to make love to a town and share my Jesus with them in due time. But what makes you tick? And here's how I want you to look at this. And this is what if you don't know the answer, if you do know the answer to that question, please pop it in the comments. I want to hear. I think it would be awesome because I want to applaud it. I want to tell you how great that is. But if you don't, look at the defining moments of your life. What are the defining moments that have made the most impact in you? Who are some of the defining relationships that you have had that have made the most impact in your life? And honestly, how are you wired? What stirs inside of you? Are you wired to be a servant to others? Are you wired to fight to lean towards, things with children, towards things with folks with disabilities, towards your neighborhood, towards your family? How are you wired? We all have something inside of us that causes us to move forward. The book of John was written by who many consider to be the teenage disciple. He was the young guy. He was the young guy. And I shared with you that my daughter, my oldest daughter, taught me a lot about this. And I listened to Hope talk, and I listened to Hope talk about how her friends who struggle with gender identity, and I say struggle because she'll honestly say they're still figuring things out. They're figuring out what they believe and what they think, and who struggle with living. They live a different lifestyle than their parents would choose, and they live a different lifestyle than what is the status quo in society, especially in the Bible Belt. And she goes, and I see that she says, I see the way that people treat them, and it angers me, because these are some of the most loving and compassionate and caring people that she's ever met. And I want to say, and I believe firmly that my daughter, this is her passion, is, again, people who feel left out. Now, it looks different than it did for me. For me, it was folks with disabilities, and now it's me for people who live in Lawrence. Honestly, I'm very focused. But for her, it's people who live a different lifestyle, and so I want to encourage you to think about what's yours. Like I said, the Gospel of John was written by the teenage disciple. And so teenagers have an interesting way of looking at things. And as he recorded things, oftentimes the things that he recorded, the things that happened, he noticed different details. And one of the things that he wrote down about Jesus was that Jesus said, the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But I come that you might have life and have it abundantly. And this idea of abundant life, I believe firmly, comes alive as we're growing to become more like Jesus in our character, as we're letting his character shine through us so that people are open to feeling his love, and as we chase out the calling that we have on our life and how we're created to carry things through. So I know tonight, guys, that tonight is not going to be a very long episode. But I do want to encourage you. Find what makes you passionate. Share it with somebody. Figure out who else has the same passion and link arms with them. Because the way you might tackle something and the way they might tackle something is different. But if you're going the same direction, and if it's empowered by the one who is our creator and is our king and is passionate as well, the world is going to be a better place because of it. I want to thank Kyle again. Like I said, I could give him a hard time. I could throw him under the bus about all the pumpkin spice stuff, for the fact that he chose not to be here and he's out calling a basketball game. But guys, if you guys don't know Kyle Walker personally, I want you to know that what he does here doesn't come from a place of just feeling like doing it. This comes because he legitimately cares about people as much or more than anybody that I know. And he wants nothing more than for you and everyone else to live the life that you were designed for. He and I have different avenues on how we communicate about things. We have different platforms. He has this platform every week. And honestly, there are times when I'm a little jealous of the fact that he has this platform every week. And there are times when I have a different platform and I get to share about who my first love is, and that's Jesus. And we fight for different things. Kyle fights for people who are going through divorce. I fight for people who feel forgotten. So in some ways, maybe it's not the same, so much different. But my friends, this matters to him. And I'm not going to take this time and I'm not going to gild any more lilies or puff him up anymore. But what I am going to say is, if you're not supporting what this show does, if you're not supporting Hitting the Wall, if you're not supporting Kyle in these efforts, you need to. Because here's one other thing that I know about my friend Kyle, is that if you were chasing something, he'd absolutely have your back. So go to hittingthewall I believe it's hittingthewallpodcast.com. If I'm wrong, he'll put in the comment and fix it. But look it up. Go on the Facebook page. Share this show. Like this show. Like the page. Get other people to like the page. Support Kyle. Man, go to Patreon and give him $5 a month or something for this show. It won't go anywhere else beyond this show. Hi, Matt. Welcome to the show. We're almost done, but I'm glad you joined us. I want to encourage you. Stand up for what your passion is and encourage the heck out of others who have one as well, especially my boy Kyle, because he would do the same for you. Again, first person who pops in here and lets us know, hi, James, hope Colorado's going okay, who pops in here and can tell me who Mikey Whipwreck is, I'll make sure that you get a nice little Hitting the Wall decal for your car. So, and that can't be Kyle. So, other than that, anybody else, hop on in. Let me know who Mikey Whipwreck is. Kyle will let me know. I'll put this in the and then you just message us we'll message you and we'll get your address and stuff and we'll send you this thing. I don't have a lot more to say tonight other than I really, really appreciate Kyle for allowing me the opportunity to come and do this. I'm looking forward to being back at the beginning of next year. Next week, episode 100. Kyle's got 99 problems, but they're all behind him because next week's episode 100. Come back on here, give him a hard time, interact, bring some folks with you. Let's blow the man out of the water with our support next week and hit his website and support him that way as well. All right, folks, I'm going to pray us out of here, and then we'll be gone. James, I hope you found a good softball team out in Colorado, buddy. I hear the air's thin. You might want to hit a couple long balls. So, Jesus, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to come and hang out this evening in the man cave. I appreciate this. I appreciate everybody who stopped in, and just thank you for our friend Kyle and his willingness to support any of us and encourage us and challenge us to continue to chase our passions and dreams. So, Jesus, I say I love you. I'll talk to you again soon. Amen. Love you guys. We'll talk again next time I'm on. Bye now.